Welcome to the Diaspora here on the NTA. This week we're reaching you from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where we are attending the 11th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union. And of course, our attention is not to the summit itself, but on issues relating to Nigerians living and working abroad. Welcome to the program. I am Makut Simon Macham. Now let's begin the program here in Addis Ababa, where Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema, who led Nigeria's delegation to the 11th Extraordinary Summit, took time off the summit to inaugurate the official quarters for Nigerian diplomats posted here in Addis Ababa. He says Nigerian diplomats around the world must work under safe and comfortable conditions. That report. Nigeria has an embassy complex in Addis Ababa that it owns, but most of the diplomats posted to the mission live in rented accommodation that is often expensive and exposes them to security concerns. 10 years ago, the then Nigerian ambassador to Ethiopia and the African Union, Olusegun Akinsanya, acquired land for the construction of these residential quarters.
And what we are seeing today in this edifice is to the glory of our two countries. It's also a reflection of what is happening between our two countries.
Today, the project is completed under the leadership of Nigeria's current ambassador to Ethiopia and the African Union, Bankole Adeoye.
The Eagle Apartments physically represent the evidence of political will and resolute commitments of the government of Nigeria, particularly under His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, to remain diplomatically active, strong and effective on our continent. With this commitment, Africa can be reassured of its prime position in Nigeria's diplomatic exertions. Excellencies, importantly, I want to assure my colleagues who have been chosen to represent the most populous country and the largest economy in Africa, in Addis Ababa, which is the diplomatic hub of the continent, that they should be more motivated and continue to put in their best in light of this moral-boosting investment on accommodation for Nigerian foreign service officers. We fully appreciate the resources, the energy, the time invested by the government of Nigeria in this particular project. This is towards the realization of Nigeria's national interest and the common development agenda of Africa through the African Union. Thus, the embassy is committing to guarantee and painstakingly protect and preserve this property put in our trust. I want to assure the government of Ethiopia and the diplomatic community based in Addis Ababa that the maintenance of these Eagle Apartments will meet the best practice in the industry.
It was therefore a delight for Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema and his Ethiopian counterpart as he inaugurated the 2 blocks of residential quarters containing 14 flats in all.
Also our faith in our diplomacy, Nigerian diplomacy, and the priority that we give that those serving Nigeria should be able to do so in a conducive environment and having the very best environment to enable them to give of the very, very best of themselves. That belief in the AU, belief in Ethiopia and in our friendship and the integration of the integration in particular of Africa. And that's why I'm also very happy to see the Nigerian community here in Ethiopia, a living evidence of that integration, that African integration that I believe, is actually what is going to save Africa and what is going to transform Africa. And I really take my hat off to all those that have contributed to putting this up. So I just want to mention a few other people who along the way have made important contributions to this project, and also to express sincere appreciation to them all, particularly the former ministers and permanent secretaries and former and serving Nigerian ambassadors to Ethiopia, as well as the home-based officers and the local staff of the Nigerian embassy.
Ethiopia is always delighted to see relations are nurtured and fraternal cooperation is elevated with the continent of Africa, and in this case, with Nigeria.
For Nigerian professionals in Ethiopia and the Nigerian community, the project symbolizes the deepening of relations between the two nations, which gives them pride and confidence that they are welcome in Ethiopia.
I am very happy that we now have a place in Gaji. I'm very happy that the diplomatic relationships between our two countries has gone a notch higher. And I look forward to a day when Ethiopia would open a residential quarters in Lagos and another residential quarters in Abuja in order to make up for this kind gesture.
Whereas the ambassador and staff of the Nigerian High Commission have over the years provided the embassy, the chancellery, as a good home for us. But in this particular space, we can call home because often we visit the embassy for official purposes, chat, interact, but we often go back because most of us don't live in the embassy. But right here, we can come here, we can bond, we can chat, we can familiarize ourselves, we can fraternize, and we can as well cook, enjoy, dance to some good music, celebrate Nigerian culture here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So I'm saying that this property gives us that communal sense of belonging, and its eventual occupation will bring us much closer than ever before. Personally, I'm glad that after over a decade, as Ambassador has stated, we are moving into a Nigerian home, depicted by the beautiful colors of our great flag, green, white, green.
Now, away from Addis Ababa, let's move to France, where recently President Muhammadu Buhari visited that country. And as the tradition is, he took time off to meet with Nigerians living and working in France. My colleague Ademu Sambo tells us about that meeting.
It was a no-holds-barred interaction between President Muhammadu Buhari and members of the Nigerian community in France. Issues relating to education, the fight against corruption, development of infrastructure, restructuring and diaspora voting dominated discussions.
Mr. President, you're a human being. You eat, you sleep, you wake up. Do you ever get discouraged?
President Buhari told his audience that the 5% allocation to education in the budget is without doubt inadequate to propel the desired growth for the economy. He said although the governing APC is currently reviewing investments in the nation's critical infrastructure like roads, rails and power, more investments need to be done in education. President Buhari once again expressed surprise that the nation's elite tolerated the fall in standards and structures of educational institutions despite oil windfalls in the past that would have made the difference.
My disappointment with Nigerian elite. I couldn't recall much noise being made about the damage done by the main opposition now to the economy and the integrity of the country. What did they do when the country was being stolen blind? But I'm doing my best to utilize Nigerian resources for the development of the country. We are trying to do the infrastructure because it will improve the power earnings of Nigerians, and we can tax them and get more money, to do the infrastructure and other things, and including investing more on education.
The president said the war against terrorism will be reinforced with new weapons and hardware for the military, while the challenge of abduction and kidnapping in parts of the country will receive more attention with better gathering of intelligence.
Thank you very much, Adamu. Now let's come back home to Nigeria, where the Nigerian High Commission to Canada recently put together an investment summit aimed at fostering more closer relationship between the business community in Canada and, of course, Nigeria. Talk about economic diplomacy. That is what it is. Let's give you highlights of that event.
Declaring the summit open, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says aside deepening investment in areas of agriculture, mining, power, another key aspect is to ensure security for meaningful development to take place.
We are committed to listening to you as investors and engaging with you Please be assured also that we remain committed to driving further reforms, especially in the areas of security and the rule of law, and to generally improve the experience of doing business in Nigeria.
As Canadian business community indicated interest to invest and explore untapped opportunities in Nigeria, Minister of Trade and Investment emphasized on remodeling existing agreements, particularly on investment and promotion.
We will find a way, even if it's some kind of attachment to that agreement, to acknowledge this new environment in a way that, because I understand that we need to go ahead with the agreement that already exists.
While Nigeria-Canada relations remain robust, there is still room for further improvement in order to engender more economic cooperation.
In turn, Canada will reciprocate such by enhancing their foreign investment agreement for Nigerian businesses to thrive.
It's my hope that this new mandate, combined with increasingly adventurous Canadian companies, will meet more trade and investment in Nigeria.
Considering the long-existing bilateral relations that spans decades, the summit, first of its kind, has provided avenue for stakeholders to share ideas that will encourage mutually beneficial investment and trade between the two countries.
I feel somewhat fulfilled because within what we set out to do, we were able to accomplish it. We wanted to bring Canadians here and begin to, this is a first step in the ongoing effort to change the narrative concerning this country from an investment point of view. This country is extremely viable. It's a fertile land for investment, and I don't think the Canadians understand it well enough. And I've gone all over the country to different cities trying to sell the country, but I realize that until they come here themselves and see for themselves, they may not quite understand what we have to offer. The Canadians clearly came away with a better understanding. And what this means is that they can go back to their country and begin to spread the word. So by the time we have the next NCIS, hopefully in Abuja here, people would have heard different things about Nigeria from those who came. And we also will continue to spread the word.
I'm feeling a real sense of involvement from the local Nigerians that I've met here. The overwhelming sense that I'm getting from everyone is that there's been enough talk and people want to see action, and that's great because I feel that the time is now that we can have action. There are so many opportunities that are available that we're talking about and discussing in this conference over the past 2 days, and I think now is the time to see them put into action. I think there are a wealth of opportunities here in Nigeria. There is such a diverse range of resources that they have here with the people, the natural resources, and the variety in the country itself. The particular project that I've been discussing here is power generation. It's something that Nigeria really needs and something that Nigeria can easily do with the natural resources that it has available, in particular gas. You know that we're looking at a lot of different methods of power production here, solar, wind, these are all available, but the one that I'm focusing on at the moment is gas power generation.
Basically, with the government initiative, we could see some level of sincerity and genuinity in promoting foreign investment. You see, people like us have been in Canada for a while, and the intention is not to remain in Canada for life. And we see an opportunity in Nigeria that investors could tap into. And we have done our research, and we've seen that one of the areas we can go into is agri processing. Why am I saying this? Because Canada also has funds available for industries, Canadian businesses that want to invest outside in terms of export. Canada they have machineries that can be exported. So we're trying to tap into that area, get funding from the Canadian market to buy some of this equipment, processing equipment, bring them into Nigeria. And then, because our focus is not just about talking, we've talked about a lot of things for many years. It's time now to take action and move our objective forward. And we are practical, we are passionate about it, and that's what we want to do. And that's why we are at this program. We came specifically for it, and we want to see how we can take that discussion to the next level.
And indeed a very well organized and well thought out event. Two good reasons. Canada has always wanted to do business with Africa. And indeed Canada has done better business with Africa through Nigeria. But that quantum of trade, as you know, has not been too encouraging. And what the High Commissioner with the PEDI consultants have done at this event is basically bring all Canadians that are interested in Nigeria into Nigeria for the first time on a controlled platform and done what is called business-to-business consultations and allowed us to listen also the federal government's enabling environment initiatives and in fact also discuss the ERGP lab to make sure that everyone who is on the table and who's a discerning investor, whether in Nigeria or in Canada, can key into what the federal government wants to do and of course help invest, transform Nigeria into a better place. So it's a well thought out summit.
It's the kind of partnership that we've encouraged, one of the types of partnerships that we've encouraged, and we've seen that people are taking it seriously and it's coming to be, and we hope that this is an encouraging issue to other people that might want to or that have issues with thinking they needed to get into partnerships. This is a partnership with a company that comes from some other country that is a mining destination. So that's a serious thing for us, that this encourages others that are waiting on the sidelines, wondering what they should do to come in.
Let's now turn our attention to something else which has been trending over time and of course will continue to trend, and that is the issue of migration. Now recently a preparatory meeting for migration was held in Abuja, preparatory to the Global Compact on Migration that is due to take place in Morocco. It is called the Road to Marrakesh. My colleague Mohamed Garba Nata'ala covered that event and gave us this report. It's now time to meet our Diasporan of the Week.
Many tales have been told about the hazardous journey to reach Europe and beyond, either by sea or through the desert, in particular the journey embarked by African youths for greener pastures. Estimating the huge number of men, women and children who are either moving or trafficked to various parts of the world, irregular migration continues to be the concern of major countries involved. Experts, however, say migration provides immense opportunities for the migrants, host communities, and communities of origin. However, irregular migration remains a global concern, which prompted European and African leaders under the guise of the United Nations to work out modalities of addressing the menace.
Because when you have things to do, you don't want to go and attack somebody. But when you are jobless, when there's hopelessness and so on, it breeds so many things. And Nigerians are not smart, are very smart people. Once you have an opportunity like that, Nigerians can capitalize on it. We have huge deposits of minerals all across the country. We just need to harness that. And believe me, Nigeria is poised for greatness. And I believe it can be done. Yeah, when you are outside and you begin to read about Nigeria, you get scared and tension, and maybe because of the media hype about insecurity and so on and so forth. But when you are here, it's different. Nigeria is a very welcoming country. I'm a Nigerian myself, but I have to tell you that I have a lot of Canadians, white Canadians that are here. So Nigeria is a good country, and the unity is strong, but you have to be here to see it. But what you perceive from outside is different. And I think some of the challenges we have are just maybe trivial. In a way, they will work out themselves, but the most important is for us to have people engaged and job opportunities, and other people that want to go into business, let them have the opportunity so that they can be self-reliant.
A global compact on migration is the first intergovernmental agreement prepared under the guise of the United Nations to cover all international aspects of migration, which Nigeria currently adopted to work with stakeholders in utilizing the skills of migrants and refugees after their integration into the society, so that their skills and potentials can be channeled to contribute meaningfully to Nigeria's growing economy, as well as the economic growth of the African continent.
The Global Compact on Migration is actually a non-binding document agreed by the 193 member states of the United Nations, although some have been withdrawing. There were negotiations at a country level, continental level, and global level early this year in New York. Now the final document is ready and is up for signing in Marrakesh, Morocco. It is only a document that allows for orderly and regular migration. Although some people have try to distance themselves from the documents. I think like the US has withdrawn, and Austria recently, because some have said that it's going to encourage irregular migration. But Nigeria, for now, at least supports the document as it stands.
Following the preparatory arrangements of the adoption of the Global Compact on Migration by Nigeria, experts say it will enhance planning, coordination and implementation of migration policies based on the consensus of the UN's New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants, which began in 2016.
It's a huge achievement because we have a document that we can always refer to see the position of the government. And that same document, the policy, also sets out clear governance structures as it relates to migration issues in the country. And of course, with every passing day, we see increased capacity in the country. We see increased efforts towards addressing the issues relating to the rights of migrants, relating to ensuring or enhancing safe and orderly migration of people.
A holistic approach is being considered by stakeholders of managing migration and reintegrating refugees and migrants in Nigeria, as new routes are emerging for irregular migration to take place.
We know already that due to the data and all the statistics we have right now, there has been an area we consider as endemic where people citizens have been moving outward. But now we are beginning to see areas that never had such movements, and a few have started to move. So should we allow this to continue? We've seen them here going to the Middle East. And so you have new areas opening up in the guise of work. They give you work, you go and work in those areas. And we see a lot of people in the north now, in the guise of going to work in the Middle Eastern countries, are moving. And then when they get there, there's hardship all through. They are subjected to all sorts of inhuman treatments, rape, beating up, everything, some being killed. So all these things, that's why we're saying that enlightenment should be broad-based. It should not be limited to where we think that is, but a lot of the others that are now moving, they should also be enlightened. Let's stop them before it gets out of hand, whereby you don't even know how they are moving. We have seen people crossing into Niger to Libya from the north, where before it wasn't like that.
Discussions were comprehensive as stakeholders are finding solutions to adopt a new action plan on migration after consultations from participants.
If the economy of Nigeria is robust, Africans would rather come to Nigeria than go to Europe and suffer. And that is part of the engagement Nigeria is having with EU and others. You must rebuild, sincerely contribute to reflating the Nigerian economy. If you change the narrative, then the consequences will be different. Rebuild the economy of Nigeria, help the Nigerian government and Nigerian people to reflate the economy so that Nigerians will stay. Right now, in the 1970s, Nigeria was an industrializing economy. Today, Nigeria is under-industrialized. Many of the industries that we operated in the 70s and 80s are dead. So where will we get jobs? And then our school curriculum does not equip our young ones to fend for themselves. They are given a certificate that entitles them to go from place to place looking for a job. So there are so many areas to address this issue.
The 11th Global Forum on Migration and Development is scheduled to hold in Morocco.
And that has been our package for this week. Thank you very much for watching. On behalf of the rest of the team and indeed everyone who has made this program a success, I am Makut Simon Macham, thanking you for watching, and I ask you to join us next time for another edition. For now, bye from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia.